Charlotte Soccer Show. John Hayes here with you. Just got back to the house after a great Sunday at Crown Legacy's Pups at the Pitch. Great to be there with the Greater Charlotte SPCA. And it's even better news that the result of the match, a 1-1 draw, Crown Legacy getting the extra point in the shootout, clinches the number one seed in the East. A great inaugural season for Crown Legacy. It was great to be at the match this afternoon. I'm John Hayes. You're going to hear from Danny Brams and in just a minute. Excited for everyone to be here for what is a special episode to kick off one of the biggest match weeks of the season and one of the biggest match weeks in the history of this club. 3 points against DC at home on Saturday is huge. You're going to hear Danny and I preview that match later this week. But first, we have a special episode. The Charlotte FC president, Joe LaBue himself, sat down with us for an hour. We talked all things Charlotte FC. We learned about Joe, his life, his career, how he ended up in this position. We talked about hot button topics around town, things that people have been debating for a while, PSLs, season ticket prices, grass versus turf at the stadium, as well as Charlotte FC and the connection that it has with the community here in town. It's a great interview. It's a great conversation. It's a great episode. Stay here. Stay tuned. We've got you covered, and enjoy the interview.
Pleasure. Thank you for inviting us to the office today. We appreciate it. You just wrapped up your 18th month, I believe, in the big chair. From what I know, as president of this club, and I want to know first and foremost, how many hours of those 18 months have been spent listening to the Charlotte Soccer Show?
Enough to be dangerous.
Good. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. We can't help but be super stoked to talk to you because it's something we've been dancing around for a long time. And we have a lot of questions written down. We have other questions that we might spin off and just see where the conversation goes. But John, when we were prepping, John put something out here. He said, I want to know what a president does or whatever it says. Well, that makes me think of the Office Space quote, which is, what is it that you would say you do here? So before we get into everything else, just give us your job description as you see it. Yeah, exactly.
My role is to create the best environment for this club to succeed, and hopefully be the club that Charlotte deserves. The people that work here every single day deserve, and that's a variety of different things. That's everything from helping the sporting side have the resources that they need, helping out on some decisions where I'm asked. On the commercial side, same thing, just making sure, because in the end, it's a business, making sure that the business is healthy, making sure that we show up in the community, we do our part there, which is really, really important. And I think something that's very soccer specific is, just making sure that the game is growing too. I think we've constantly talked about that, and y'all do a great job in covering not only Charlotte FC, but all of soccer in Charlotte, naming the show, obviously. And we feel like we're here to amplify. I think there was always that joke that ownership's bringing concerts to Charlotte and ownership's bringing soccer here. That's not the case. Soccer's been here. We've been a platform to amplify it and show it off, hopefully to a bigger audience. We take that seriously.
Well, the concert thing, I will say this, is that the more that I think about the concert thing, the more I am 100,000% on board. And the reason why is because every time an artist comes to town that I really want to see, and they're booked at PNC Pavilion, I say to myself, my goodness, do I really want to go all the way up there to see a show? Why can't Tepper just host them in the actual stadium and go from there? So I think the concert situation has actually made Uptown buzz this summer in a way that it hasn't, and part of that is because of Charlotte FC, Joe. You know that as far as the sports calendar is concerned, and one thing we wanted to ask the question that way about what you could do here, and not only the reason why is because in a president position, right, you're wearing 1,000 different hats, right? We know that. I think the supporters know that. And ultimately, that role comes with a lot of pressure. It comes with the idea that the entire staff, the organization is under your leadership. So a big thing that we love to talk about is leadership, right? And how did you end up getting into this position where you wake up in the morning and you go, wait, I'm the leader of this organization. I get to go into the Charlotte FC headquarters today and be the president. How did this happen for you?
Are you listening to my thoughts? It's a little trepidation as I'm cruising down Monroe Road. No, I think just for me, starting out in this industry when I was in college, and I just happened to see internships were available with DC United. So there was a job fair at University of Maryland, Cole Fieldhouse, the old basketball arena, which is now a football facility, strangely enough. But went there, saw DC United, and my first thought was like, wait, you can actually work in sports. This was to date myself. This was 1999, so there wasn't teamwork online to my knowledge. The internet was still AOL.
MLS was 3 years old, right?
And so I threw my hat in the ring there. And
how was your Y2K party, by the way?
6 to 8 inches of snow in Rochester, New York.
Oh, wow. Nice blizzard party.
Some good times, man. I threw my hat in the ring there, and it was sort of a weird. I kind of had a job, but I kind of didn't have a job. It was like, hey, drive from College Park to Herndon, Virginia, which is out by Dulles Airport, and showed up there, and it was kind of like, hey, you can work out. You can maybe drive some guys to the airport. And I was like, this is not going to help me at all. I don't know what's happening here. So that was very short-lived, but I was actually telling that story. I was working at TPC Avenel. I was working in the bag room there. It's TPC Potomac now, so it's a course. Yeah. It's right next to Congressional Country Club. You guys are golfers.
Yeah, they had a PGA Tour event.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. They shut down for a couple of years and reopened it as TPC Potomac because apparently TPC Avenel wasn't a good enough name.
I'm a former club.
I think they used that facility for the Wells Fargo Championship a year that it couldn't be here because of the President's Cup or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, no, I think you're right.
PGA? Yeah, PGA Championship. Yeah, good call. Yeah. Good call.
So was working there and was actually just telling the story, and they had this individual had connections with the now Commanders, and I was like, wait a minute, that stadium's 10, 15 minutes from College Park. Like I can handle that. Let's see. And a door opened there, and that sort of got my career set off in sports. And fortunately for me, starting out as an intern, it's similar to we've almost come full circle. You're wearing a lot of hats doing that.
Good point.
Right?
Great point. Yeah.
You're running stats to the media one day. You're working in the parking lot one day. I mean, there were games where chiseling ice off seats, trying to sell corporate hospitality packages. Taking lunch orders. Again, this was no DoorDash, no internet. This was literally intern walking up and down the hallway at FedEx Field, taking 40 lunch orders per day. But I always tell that story too.
Did you charge service fee? What was the service fee?
You know what the service fee? There was no service fee. Keeping my job. I got another story about that one, but I will say that for another day. Keeping my job, but also it gave me the opportunity to sit down. I mean, one of the things that my dad told me when I started working there was, there was new ownership that has since been replaced, I think, in the last couple months. But there were only a few people that were left over from the previous regime, Jack Kent Cook, and my dad gave me great advice, and he said, figure out the people that stayed there and why.
Nice.
And there were a couple people that were working there at the time that they were there during the Jack Kent Cook days, and they stayed on, and I wanted to figure out why. And so getting lunch, I would have lunch with them. I would talk to them, and I'd try to figure it out. It was a little bit more, I'm just curious, I'm trying to learn, what do you do, what path could I go in this industry? And then just a little bit of sort of job security too, making sure if I knew the right people. But
yeah, and I mean it's funny that was good experience because we're already even in year 2 we're in an organization where there's people who have stayed around for a reason and there's people who have already left, right? So there you go. I wanted to say you said you went to the University of Maryland. And you went, it's pretty awesome that you were able to go straight into working for an NFL franchise right out of that graduation.
Not only just an NFL franchise, by the way, like one of the oldest and most significant franchises in the league.
They've been to 2 Super Bowls within the last 10 years, I think, before you would have started working there, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 90. I was on the other end as a fan in 1992. I was at the game.
Mark Rippon, let's go all day.
Yeah, I was not.
Well,
my running back forgot his helmet where it was at the beginning of the game. So
I wanted to ask you, what feels worse though? Now in your current role, thinking about your history. What feels worse, the Hani Mukhtar getting a penalty against us the other night, or losing the 2001 Final Four to Duke? The gone in 54 seconds game, Jay Williams, hitting all those trays in the final minute.
Oh man! Well, we got Duke back the next year when Steve Blake picked Jay Williams' pocket
he's stealing, of course,
right before the end of the first half,
no
and then we won the national championship that year too. So I'd absolutely have to say last Saturday was.
Maybe that bodes well for us.
I actually told Woody, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to talk to these guys because I don't have a voice. Right. I legitimately lost my voice in Nashville yelling, and I try to be sort of stoic, team leader, as you said, kind of sit back there, be objective, don't get too emotional. But that one was tough. That was tough. I think just the supporters that we had there, we had a great. The supporters were great, but all throughout
TV, and all I could see was little dots of blue.
I would say all throughout the stadium.
Just the ones that
exactly. So, Scotty puts it in, and there's people taking their shirts off, waving them around. I mean, the Zoran's going crazy. Darius. I mean, it was like
felt good.
It was great, right? And then to have that call on legitimately the last play of the game, and I know I said something online earlier in the week, and some people were like, "Well, it's not just down to one play." I know, but that doesn't make it any easier at the moment. And I think what was the most disappointing was, like I said, we deserved to win that game. That was as good as we've looked in maybe all season, and I just felt bad for the team and the coaches and the fans and everybody who's in the Charlotte FC family.
And the reason I asked that question is not to put you on the spot and make you remember all these bad memories, but it's because I think it's important for the fan base to know that the person running this club is a fan. You've somehow been able to hold on to your fandom through it all, through all your job responsibilities and everything you're doing, on your professional side. You love this club, and I think that shines through in every conversation that we've been able to have with you. What informs that? Where do you discover that love from?
Well, I mean, I grew up playing soccer, so I love soccer. I got away from it a little bit. Like I said, I started out in the NFL. I spent a lot of time in the NFL. I'm a huge hockey fan too, and I got to work in the NHL for a few years, which was phenomenal. Back in the NFL here in Charlotte, and I sort of just got away from soccer a little bit. But when Dave and Nicole purchased the team, and I was part of this OFP, the Other Football Project, we called it. It was like an after-school project to sort of follow up on what David said in his introductory press conference. He was interested in bringing soccer here, so a few of us went to work. And through that process, I fell back in love with soccer, honestly. I remembered how much fun it was, and I started diving in and watching, and we're in an age now where it's accessible 24/7, 365, and with every day that goes by, I love it even more. I'm more immersed in it. Thank God my wife is a fan of it. My kids like it, love it. So it's okay if I go home and throw a game on. It's okay if I'm talking about it. It's okay if I'm frustrated about it. They're fans too. And that's one thing for me in this industry. I've never forgot I'm a fan. I'm still a fan. I'm still a sports fan. There's teams that I love, and I yell at the TV, and I'm critical of, and all that sort of stuff. I think just from my perspective, maybe I'm a little bit more objective because I know there's more to it on the back end, but I still have those same emotions. I'll never lose that. The day I lose that, I don't want to come to work. I tell people that all the time. If you lose that passion, you can't survive in this business. The highs are really high and the lows are really low. This isn't pharmaceutical sales where your Monday's the same, your Tuesday's the same, your Wednesday's the same, etc. You're selling the same drug, you're talking to the same doctors. Every day is different. That's the beauty of it, but you got to take the good with the bad. You got to take the criticism as well as the praise, and you're usually getting more of one than the other. But that's okay. That's all right. And we signed up for it. No one's keeping me here. Right? I'm choosing to be here. I want to be here, and I do love this club genuinely, and I love this city. We love this city, and we love the fans, and what we've been able to do. It's pretty great. More to do, for sure. But.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a great launch. It's been a great inaugural season, and now follow up to that. We've talked about on the show before. You know how impossible it is in professional sports to not achieve your goal and still go into the off season with great momentum, a fan base that feels good about itself and looking forward to year two. The fact that was pulled off is just impressive to begin with. But when you think about your history, right? We mentioned the Commanders. We talk about the Capitals. I'm not sure what the Capitals. I don't know when that franchise started, but it wasn't launching when you joined them.
No, late 70s.
Okay, yeah. I'm not a hockey guy.
It's okay. No, It's what was interesting about joining them. I was actually just telling this to somebody the other day. When I started working there, it was really the start of their renaissance. They had successful teams. They had, Peter Bondras of the world. Right when I was in College Park, that '98 Stanley Cup final. I think after that there was just a down time where if you were ranking the professional sports teams in DC, they might have been 4-4, right? And when I started there, it was early on in Alex Ovechkin's career, and they had made a pretty great run. Hear me out on this one. Started out rough, finished really strong. Barely made the playoffs, but they made it.
Yeah, sounds familiar.
And
started to check a lot of boxes here, Joe.
The city started paying attention, and when I would call people about the Washington Capitals, they stopped telling me that they already buy ads with the Washington Post, and I had to explain we're not a newspaper, we're a hockey team, and they would go, "Oh, you got that guy number 8? Yeah. He's pretty good." I said, "Yeah, that guy number 8's pretty good." But to see where sort of that evolution and to when they won the Stanley Cup, and I would say they were one of 4 or one of 5 or how many professional teams are in DC. I think they surpassed everybody at that time. Everyone was rocking the red. Everyone was an Ovechkin fan. And similar to how I look at our impact on soccer, you look at hockey in the nation's capital now, in Northern Virginia, Maryland, there's rinks popping up, there's kids playing, there's talent coming out of that area. And, I'm really proud to have sort of been part of that, play a little role in that. It was great. Of course. So, they...
Trickle-down economics make it work, but trickle-down sports fandom does work. I agree, for sure.
Yeah. So, but it's cool to hear, because the reason I brought that up was just the idea of Charlotte FC being that OFP, that new project with no history at all, nothing to tap into except for what could come in the future, right? The USL team here in town, understanding the possibility of
talent
of a fan base and talent for sure, but you get here and you have to start a new franchise, right? So I mean, first and foremost, that looks pretty damn good on a resume, number one, especially if the team has success. But number two, it's a different challenge. It's a challenge in a way that maybe you've never dealt with before. So I wanted to ask, along this journey, what has been the most challenging thing? Being the president of Charlotte FC, starting a new club, joining MLS. Well, what is the one thing that sticks out to you where you say, wow, that's not maybe what I expected, and it's been difficult but also rewarding?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I think learning MLS. I think learning MLS. I think the NFL is the NFL. It's just sort of the biggest and baddest on the block, and you have a 24/7, 365 network dedicated. You've got, people go crazy about the combine, and there's this 12-month calendar, and you know what you're getting in January, you know what you're getting in February. All right, March, let's start thinking about the draft, and April, it is the draft, and and then schedule's coming out in May, and you've got all of this sort of built-in infrastructure that you just you sort of carve your way within that, and I think Major League Soccer is at a point now where I think we've got a lot of great people in the league office. There's a lot of great people in this league. People are starting to pay attention. You know, we talk about the young talent in the league, and you know, obviously there's certain people that have world-class ability that have come over in the last couple months.
Let's just call it Tom Bogert. So speaking of young talent, real quickly, Tom Bogert this week. 22 players, under 22, best in MLS. Adilson Milanda is on that list.
Yeah, we love that.
Yeah.
And he deserves every bit of that credit. Cool. And he's a top-class human being.
No doubt.
That's the best part of Adilson.
Without hopefully I'm not burning too many off record conversations, but we did get a chance to talk one time recently at a match, and you said, "Man, I'm still waiting for that Adilson Milanda late winner goal." And I thought to myself, it was Joe, would you take a late assist to win the game against Nashville for our field? Unfortunately, and then we ended up losing the penalty. But I had that whole tweet/text teed up to send.
Don't think I didn't turn to people right when that happened and said, "Did you see who they had that assist?" I was happy for him, and we'll still get that header at some point on a set piece.
No doubt. But one thing that John and I found in our pre-interview prep here was the team that you used to work for, the Commanders. They recently were pulling about 55,000 a game.
Oh yeah, yes.
So we've pulled more than that multiple times, and we're approaching sort of almost a regular attendance, 35 plus. So it's like, did you ever think when you were working in the NFL, you said a few minutes ago, NFL is king, and that's certainly not up for dispute in the American sports landscape, but did you ever think that MLS would be competitive with NFL in terms of your main job over the years, just putting butts in seats,
Never. But, obviously being on this side of the fence now, I see all of the potential there. I mean, we're doing it, and every time we go to a soccer-specific stadium, we went to Nashville on Saturday, and it's a great stadium, and I think the capacity is around 30, which I think is right for a soccer-specific stadium. But back to the league, I think there's so many good people, and there's such an exuberance and an excitement and sort of that challenger mentality, and it's like, we're going to show you.
Yeah. And
I do think in the next 3 to 4 years, you've got Copa America coming, you've got World Cup in 26. The ability for us to fill our stadium, or maybe we go from 35 to 45 on average, or 55 on average, or 60, etc. That's so exciting and so doable. And I want every other club to be able to do that too. And I do think this is the type of league where, we want 3 points every single match on the pitch, but I think off of it, I think each of the clubs work well with one another, and we understand it's a high tides raises all boats kind of thing. So, their success is going to be our success. And what's really neat about it is, the Austins of the world, the Charlotte FCs of the world, what St. Louis City's doing this year, LAFC, sort of the new kids on the block. We're sort of leading the charge on a lot of this stuff, which is really strange, but a lot of fun. I mean, you see it in the NHL, back to that. I don't want to bore people with more hockey talk, but what Vegas did, right?
Totally.
That was an anomaly to come in and sort of take the league by storm. But, everyone's kind of fallen their league on game entertainment. Now they've sort of galvanized that community with people not thinking that anyone would care about hockey in the middle of the desert. Well, they sure do. And I'd like to think here in Charlotte now, people that didn't care about soccer before, but again, maybe they're not only coming to games, they're season ticket holders. They're following the independents. They're following our academy. They're signing up their kids into youth programs. All of that.
At every single level.
All of that is probably happening because of us, and that's really rewarding. And it's a testament to the men and women we have here that give their heart and soul every day to this place.
So the Upper Decks Open versus DC. What gave you the confidence to go ahead and do that? Was the LFC turnout was nice, and we just the social currency is riding.
Yeah, man, I love that. I love social currency. You know, I love that. Honestly, we talk about it here, and I know you guys talk about it. The people that listen to the show and they love it. And we're serious soccer city. Mm-hmm. We care about wins and losses, and I talked about the highs being high and the lows being low. When we lose, it's low, and I don't like when people are upset, but I understand it. and I never want anyone to be apathetic, and I want people to be really excited when we're doing well, and I want people to show up like I know we've shown up. And that DC game next Saturday is a massive game for us in the standings. You all know that. And for me, it's opening the upper level. The only reason to do it is to pack it out. A $15 ticket in the upper level, people can afford it. They're move what you're doing and come out and support the team. If you don't think that motivates our guys, you're dead wrong, because it does motivate our guys. And it's something that is intimidating for other teams to walk into. And we open the upper level because I want to prove to everybody that our fans, our support will be there that night. We will have 35 to 40, or prove me wrong, put 50,000 in there. The more tickets we sell in the upper level, we're going to keep opening sections. We're not going to stop. And it's a big, big night. And then it's going to go right into Wednesday. So you come out, hopefully we play well Saturday night, we get a result. It's like, look, run it back. We got a big game Wednesday night against a tough side, and we beat them here last year.
You didn't just beat them last year. You sent them home crying and complaining about the fact that they didn't win the supporter shield.
We're trying to get home field advantage in that MLS Cup final.
The magical football lines down on the field.
Are we paying the NFL lines back on the field? I don't know.
I got some tricks up my sleeve. Don't worry. It's as our owner likes to call it, it's not cheating, it's gamesmanship.
That's right.
So
100%.
We'll be all right.
Well, you talk about being, the club for the community and a place where the community can. It's like this club is weaving itself into the fabric of the community for sure.
Yeah.
If we get into like some of the criticisms that have happened, I know you're not afraid of a tough question. So I just want to hear you talk about your response. What is your response to people who are like, it's just too expensive to go to a Charlotte FC game and they're pricing me out, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, we've all made sacrifices.
To be fair, he just said you could get into the game for $15.
I mean as fair as possible, and I spent the first few minutes praising you here. I just want to hear, like I want to hear everything what you have to feel about PSLs, and do you still feel PSLs were the right decision? You probably weren't the person that necessarily made it one just by yourself, but. Like it was a new ground that was broken by this club.
It's easy to complain about ticket prices it's easy to complain about ticket prices when you're a fan base, when you see a ranking of this is the clubs that have the most expensive tickets. It's really just easy cherry picking criticism. But there's different price points to get into that building.
Exactly.
There is, and look, I mean, some of that data it's not apples to apples, right?
Yeah.
And I've got a background in ticketing, obviously. That's where I spent
20-some years. Exactly.
Look, I go back to it. It's not apples to apples. Look at the teams that are quote unquote the most expensive. It's a lot of the newer teams, right? Mm-hmm. So, when you have an opportunity to start at a certain rate and price your product a certain way, you're going to do that. At the end of the day, we want to make business, or you want to make some profit. You want to be profitable eventually. Most teams aren't right now, and we're not very profitable either. But in order to get there, you sort of understand demand. And a lot of work went into the ticket. We didn't just throw numbers at a dartboard and come up with it. There was a lot of work that went in the back. There was a lot of studying the league. Where do we want to be and why? And I will tell you, I think a benefit of the criticism came out with sort of our diverse. Offerings with $15 tickets we have them every single game.
Sure.
We had $15 tickets for that October 21st game at one point in time. And I know even when that announcement was made, we went out with tickets that were, $50, $60. Other clubs didn't do it. So we have some seats with PSLs and some seats without PSLs. Mm-hmm. I stand by that decision. Because number one, if you didn't want to buy a season ticket with the PSL, there was opportunity for you to do so. You could sit in some places, and also we did have to put some money into the stadium. I know we talk about that, but money's money, and we put it in. Mm-hmm. We had to build a locker room, we built a supporters bar, we built center tunnel. There's infrastructure things that we did that if there was an opportunity for us to have people invest, we were going to do that. But also too, I came from the Panthers side. I saw what a value of a PSL is. I hope people that purchase those PSLs, they're seeing the value in it right now, and there's going to be equity down the road in those. TBD on that, but I stand by it. Our renewal rates for people who had PSLs significantly higher versus people that didn't. I mean, most of the people that didn't renew their seats last year were in supporters, or they were in the sections that didn't have it. And look, that might just be, just an anomaly. But I think if you are investing and you're putting that down, you're going to give soccer another shot, because again, people that were buying seats last year, they were doing it. It's like, look, I'm going to try it out. We'll see.
Right.
17 matches, 18 matches. That's, I don't know. Can I make it? I've got a family. I mean, I've got other things I want to do. I want to travel maybe in the weekend. I want to play golf, whatever. Mm-hmm. But that for us was one of the reasons we said, let's take a shot. And the data suggests, like, look, I mean, those people are they're bought in.
Right.
I have two PSLs. Yeah. I have two seats. I have two PSLs, and I think the way that I feel about it is I have ownership of it. And for what it's worth, for me, it was like, it's been industry standard to do something like that for over 20 years.
It is, and we had focus groups. We had a lot of talks with not just one or two people. If you guys can remember when we were standing this club up, I think, did a good job of going into true soccer fans, mm-hmm. true sports fans. We had a very diverse group of people that we were just, talking about Chico, for example. I mean, I met him at the Peculiar Rabbit on a Sunday morning back in back in 2018, and he was heavily involved and still is with Pancho Villa's army, and we had the Mexican national team at our stadium, and it was like, hey, we got to talk to him. He was the guy that was like, I need to get TIFO in. Mm-hmm. Our stadium operations was like, what's a TIFO? And we're like, this is what it is. And so we talked to him and said, like, hey, do you have an MLS team? And he's like, no, why would I watch MLS? We said, well, you do now. It's going to be the one that's playing in Charlotte. And he was kind of like, what? And
buy a blue Dia de los Muertos mask. ASAP.
So just from there, I mean, it was like, here's someone we can talk to. And look, not everybody agreed with it. Most people didn't. And then we started talking through it a little bit more, and most people were like, okay, I sort of understand it. Then you're doing these focus groups, and people were taking these surveys, and we're like, you know what? I think we can do it here. I think we can. And it wasn't one person's decision alone. It was a collective sort of leap of faith. But for me, I don't want to be a club in 4 years that has a fan base that's disintegrating. The one thing you've seen around the league, people get real excited about it, and then you start seeing some chinks in the armor. So if this is an opportunity for us, a play for us, and I get it, we got to win. We got to win, right? Full stop. But if this is another opportunity for us to make sure our fan base is growing, because I'm going to get all commercial side on you. Year over year, you want your fan base to grow. You want your season ticket base to grow, right? You want to go out with renewals. There's going to be some attrition, but you want to be net positive year over year. And in order to do that, like this is a big piece of it for us. So time will tell. Look, and I understand, and again, I get criticized all the time, and that's okay. And people can have their opinions on it. Time will tell on this one.
I'll just say I appreciate you answering the question. People can take your answer for what it's worth, and they can decide. But at least you got a chance to address it.
People are hitting the steering wheel right now.
For me, I'm a supporter season ticket holder, and I find I didn't necessarily want to buy a PSL personally, so I appreciated that was available.
Yeah.
I find it to be remarkably reasonably priced to get a season ticket holder's supporter section ticket. Maybe that'll change next year, who knows, and maybe not everybody's situation is the same. But the other thing is, I just want to say
I think you'll like the answer.
You don't have to see, that's good to hear. I like that. It's breaking news here. But you don't have to sell me, because I can't be bought. Money is nothing to me. I've already said on this show multiple times, you can offer me $5,000 for my October 21st ticket.
Test it. I want somebody to test.
I will say no. Put me on camera. You can put $5,000 in my hand. I'll hand it right back to you. So nice. There you go.
Well, I love that.
I wouldn't miss it.
I that's my expectation of this fan base, honestly.
Totally.
and that's not just hyperbole. That's not me just speaking to people that are going to be listening to this. I truly believe, people are going to be excited about it. They want to see a legend in person. But at the end of the day, they want to see a legend go home a loser.
No doubt.
And that match is hopefully going to be huge for us again. And it's Fan Appreciation Day. So upper level is going to be open anyways. It'll be fun. And I truly believe that you're not going to be the minority on that one. You're going to be in the majority for sure.
The run in here, I mean, it's not just about the game against Messi at the end. It's obviously you look at the schedule and you realize, okay, it's really nice to finish your season that way. Now 2 games in a row, which I don't necessarily know how I feel about. I guess you just got to deal with it. Home and home to end. If it comes down to that, fine, so be it. Mm-hmm. But the run in outside of those 2 matches is really good. It kind of highlights the quality of play in MLS. And I just wanted to follow up on something that you mentioned as far as just kind of learning MLS and understanding what it is. And it's not just you saying. I think a lot of people said that when MLS came into town, because there's so many different things, especially roster rules. Mm-hmm. You talk about the way that you have to manage a team, the way that you can spend money, the way all of that works. And speaking of Lionel Messi, somebody who's going to come here, he seems to be somebody that's changing all of that, right? And the idea that all MLS clubs come together to make this work, right? It's a very unique sports organization in that it's almost a shared partnership between all of these teams. And sometimes you have to work with each other to make something work. But when you do work with each other to make something work for a different franchise, you must have other people saying, well, what about us?
Yeah.
So there has to be conversation happening now or maybe in the future about what this signing means for the future of the league.
Absolutely. There's two sides of it. There's all the benefits that come with it. There's the eyeballs. There's the Apple numbers that have been reported. This week, people are talking about it.
All you have to do is ask.
Everybody's talking about it.
Apple. Let me just say this: the Apple app will literally puts in there Messi's race to. It shows you the standings in pink and says Messi's race to the playoffs.
I'm well aware of that. I'm well aware of that.
It's not MLS season pass anymore. It's Messi season pass.
Let's go on the other side of the fence now, shall we? It's great, and we're all benefiting from it. But I think from my perspective, I think it's okay to say, well, what's in it for us? How is this going to help us move forward? It's the whole thing, and whether you guys are going to bring it up or not, it's like the grass versus turf stuff. Are you guys going to put it down?
Yeah.
An emphatic hell no, because this is about our club, and we value winning, and we talked about that moments ago with DC United, and we want to win. So look, if there's opportunities for us to take advantage because there's sort of roster architecture, or there's things that we can do, or maybe this is going to introduce different rules or some changes moving forward for us that we can take advantage of, let's go, let's do it. I'm all for it. At the same time, I'm worried about the team that plays in Uptown Charlotte 24/7 365. That's what gets me up. That's what gets me going to bed at night, waking up in the morning, coming to work and talking to myself, like you said.
I love it.
So, yeah, I think it's great, but I'd love to go on the Apple app and see Patrick Ajimong's story, or Nathan Byrne playing unbelievably, in this last stretch. Some of the guys, Andrew Privet. That should be more of a national story.
Totally.
Like, that's fine. I mean, there was just some news and some coaching changes this week, and I just went on to the MLS website to take a look at it, and I couldn't find anything because it was all pink and all about one team. And my thing is, I get it.
Totally.
Right, 100%.
We do too.
You mentioned the rising tide earlier in the show.
I get it, and I'm supportive of the league being successful, and if that's what's going to attract the eyeballs, let's do it. But let's also not forget what everybody else is trying to do, and I think we've done a damn good job for this, and for this league too. We continue to, and the supporters and the people listening here.
Totally.
Y'all have done an amazing job. Hats off, pats on the back. People are noticing that stuff. When Apple cuts into a broadcast and shows the Poznan and people getting hyped in Charlotte.
Yeah, like, what the heck's going on in Charlotte?
That's awesome, right?
Yes.
And that shouldn't be ignored too. Yes, does it have the global eyeballs that Messi gives you? No, but is it important? 100%. Because I tell you what, in 5 years, we're still going to be doing the Poznan. And we might be doing it in front of 65,000 people. Mm-hmm. That's going to be something that's got staying power, and that's really important for us.
And one thing I haven't heard mentioned is that we might end up with 3 games in a row against Messi if we end up playing Miami in the 8-9 game. Who knows? But I don't know. I wanted to talk a little bit about. I didn't want to bring up necessarily the field versus turf thing because it's kind of an old conversation. Everyone sort of knows how they feel with it.
But
I will say that I will just say that I hope that if we ever do correctly install grass on the pitch instead of the turf, that it will be because our players asked for it, not because Leo Messi asked for it.
It's 2 separate conversations, right? I mean, you had the old, well, you put it down for one player kind of thing, and then it's the longer term, what do you do at the stadium? And, the long term is this, guys. I think whether you ask a Panthers player, an opposing team on an NFL game, MLS, or it's a Charlotte FC player, I don't think anyone's going to tell you they prefer to play on turf. They all prefer to play on grass. But what gets missed is a lot of guys really don't mind it at all. Right. There's consistency to it. Ours, actually, from a soccer perspective, is graded as high as you could possibly grade it.
Cool.
It's the best playing surface that's artificial in the league. And that doesn't change the fact that, do we look into putting grass down? You're saying I prefer cheeseburgers, but I'm good with pizza? That's right. Or McDowell's versus McDonald's, whatever. I think the thing about the grass also that gets, I think, in this conversation that gets lost a little bit, to bring concerts back up. People think it's about the concerts. It's about the concerts. It's not just about the concerts. It's about flipping a field. I'll give you guys next week, right? We play Saturday night against DC, and I know we're going to pack it out. The Panthers kick off their home slate Monday night against New Orleans, and they're going to smack them around. And then we're right back Wednesday night. Can you imagine what a grass field may look like if there's weather?
Of course, yeah. Then you go viral for all the look at this horrible pitch in Charlotte.
I mean, I think you saw some grass maybe in an MLS play last week that didn't look too good. We played in Chicago last year against the Fire in an unbelievable win where we came back. But, pregame we got there, and it was a week after a monsoon 49ers-Bears game. So there's technology out there. There's probably ways that we can get that done. I think if there's a way that we can get it done, and the playability for both sides is really top notch, because again, you can say grass versus turf, but if you're playing on a terrible grass surface, is it worth it? So that's one of the things
that's the type of thing you see when you're watching lower league games overseas, where you can point out like League 2 over in England having a very poor pitch.
I can take all that. I can accept all that. Can you just speak to how the people who play? Well, that's just a money problem. You have one of the richest owners ever. Why doesn't you just pay for it to be? It's not more. It's you. We were talking about this. We've talked about this off microphone before about how there's a grass shortage around the globe, right?
Yeah. I mean, even putting the sod in. If we were going to do that, it's great. You didn't
tell us.
Paying for it. It's July and that game was in October. It's 6 months to get sod put in, and to get it secured, and you have to grow it, and so there's NFL teams that have it because during an NFL season you're resodding in between the hash marks and typically end zones and sidelines over and over again. And we were in Nashville last week. They had a concert. Did you see the what was right in front of the 18-yard box?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. I'm sure their grounds crew is great, but it was noticeable. It was tough. So, look, it's not just money. It's not just money. And everyone is showing me the new Real Madrid, which just looks like a Rubik's cube turning into like a transformer. It's amazing. But at the end of the day, like even if it does flip up grass, like again, if you have two events on the grass in 3 days, the grass is still going to be the grass.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing that money can do other than like you're going to resod it overnight, but resodding something overnight doesn't make it playable.
Well,
so
I plan on, I'm going to leave you this proposal here. You
Yeah.
can take it to Mr. Tepper. You can have a discussion in the next board meeting. And it's pretty simple.
Sounds so fancy.
It's very, very simple. The turf can stay until the end of time if Charlotte FC continues to play uptown. Like that's
Right.
the proposal.
Yeah.
Keep the turf,
Yeah.
leave the stadium uptown.
I know.
You know, what's that like though? Seriously, imagine
It's awesome.
Imagine how difficult it would be if the stadium was 30 minutes south of town.
we talk about it all the time, John. I mean, I talked about it in Nashville this weekend. It's a great stadium, but it's not in the right part of town yet. I'm sure the city will grow up, around it. And
But think about Miami. The FC,
yeah.
Inter Fort Lauderdale,
I mean,
they call it.
Look, I'd like to think, again, we work really hard here, and we have great people, and the people of Charlotte are super supportive, and they're diehard. But you can't ignore the fact that our games are uptown, and it's attractive, and there's people like, look, I just want to go uptown and hang out. We use the party over, and some people are like, I don't know if I like that anymore. But at the end of the day, like when you're uptown and you're walkable, and to see just in my 12 years here, like what South End has become, what down Moorhead's looking like, just all the apartments and condos uptown now. I mean, no, we have, in terms of real estate, the corner of Mint and Moorhead. I wouldn't want to play anywhere else. I really wouldn't. And again, and we go and we see these soccer-specific stadiums, and it's really great. But I will tell you, our venue, our energy, where it is before, during, and after is unmatched around the league.
I will tell you, we can build it over the McNick tailgate lot. We can put our soccer-specific stadium there if Mr. Tepper really wants to shell out. But that gets into one of the final things we want to talk about, which is the future of the club and just like how we develop this party that you talked about, and how the party's been a great selling point. I love the party. I love to party.
Let me ask you a question real quick. Did you prep Joe for this interview? Because he keeps bringing up the topics before we get to it.
It's almost like I've listened before.
You guys know the show.
Maybe I pay attention.
He's a tifo.
So
I call it out because John famously has never been to an official tailgate, and he doesn't plan to go. Not to blow up your spot here, John.
Fair enough.
I'll let you take it from there. But we in our prep, we talked about what is the future in terms of improving maybe sort of the proximity to the stadium of the pregame party.
Well, I'm just thinking specifically Mint Street, right? I think the supporters bar there, you mentioned the changes to Bank of America Stadium, which have been unbelievable. The supporters bar is the perfect place where you can tell people, hey, let's meet before the match. We're going to meet there, no matter where you're sitting in the stadium, and it's a really cool place to hang out. If you want to pony up and hang down at the vault or down the other end of the stadium. I haven't been to that area behind the goal on the end of the stadium.
Gallery.
The gallery there. Haven't been there. It looks cool. So if people want to do that,
it's cool.
So we were down there. I haven't been there for a match. We were in there for pre-event, which by the way, leading up to the launch of the club, getting the supporters in the building for Carol Swiderski's unveiling, having those moments are incredible. So my question is I get the tailgate down in that lot. It makes sense. Mm-hmm. It does, but there's this gold mine that could potentially be Mint Street right there, right? It's closed down anyway, right? And I know in the past that there's been some block parties there, and what I think a huge part of our show is trying to be grassroots, support local businesses. And one thing that we do before the match is we go to Hopfly and we get sandwiches from Katsu Cart, which is a badass food truck. And typically we'll do that because sometimes we will get into the stadium and we don't necessarily have those grassroots options at our fingertips. They're in there somewhere. I know but they're not all over the place like some other things. So how do we take a match day experience that is an MLS match day experience? I understand the corporate nature of that, but how do you trickle it down into the community and get some more grassroots local businesses involved?
Yeah, and I think MLS is probably the least sort of corporate, environment out of any of the four major 100%. Sports, and that's what I love about it. That's a work in progress for us. I think one thing I'm proud to be a part of here is our skill of listening. And we do listen, which is why I knew everything you were going to ask me about.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
What he's doing is research over there. He does.
No, I mean, it's look, I mean, we do listen. We want to take advantage of some opportunities that present themselves. I think the McNinch lot, I mean, that was something that, we had access to, and, we didn't need to charge anybody. Right. It was free to come in, and
which is
that's important.
If it's free, if it's free.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's important. And you've got the supporter march, which has been
a good
great.
March, for sure.
And look, is it too
We
long?
marched from
Is it too
Hoffly.
short?
We have a smaller march from Hoffly. Yeah.
So you can have your cake and eat it too. There's things that we can do in that lot potentially, and there's things we can do. We have activated Mint Street before.
Yes.
We have food trucks there, and yes. And
did it feel like it was worth it to do that?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But again, there's got to be a reason to do it as well. Like those folks aren't coming if the crowd's not going to be there, and they're not there just to set up and wave to people when they're coming by. And I think as we grow and we expand, and that is absolutely something that not only from food trucks on Mint Street, it's who are we partnering with in the community?
Totally.
How can we amplify? This is Monday through Friday. This is Saturday and Sunday. It's our short off season. I always tell it, and I'm sure I can't remember if Darius said it when you spoke to him, but walking the walk is really important to us.
Yeah.
So we're not going to say we're going to be great for the community, not do things like that. I mean, we constantly. You talked about fancy board meetings a few minutes ago. We meet all the time, and whether it's just walking down the hall or someone's driving to work and has an idea, and it's we love the fact that we are woven in the community, use your words, and to sustain that and to be even more woven. Like, let's be authentically ourselves.
Yeah.
Let's do what we can do, because I think it is less corporate than other leagues, and we've got the ability to do that. So
totally.
Anything that's an impact on the community, but also match day, game day experience. I mean, that's my wheelhouse.
Yep.
I love being a fan. I love fans. I love the experiences. I got into sports because that was what I did growing up with my dad. That was the best part of my youth, is the times I was able to go to games and watch games, and just I fell in love with sports. So I've got kids too. Mm-hmm. So I've got a sounding board when I walk home. Trust me. Every I walk in the door, I hear it. So in everything we do, everything we do.
Yeah, and to be fair, I don't think it's like an issue. You see the watch parties, away watch parties at local establishments, right? So even those kind of partnerships,
which has been a huge growth in year two from year one. I feel.
It's propping up a local business,
awesome.
sending people somewhere. Because Charlotte is such a I think Charlotte FC, and this is I think where I'll wrap things up because we're coming close to the end here. It's been 50 minutes. It's been an amazing 50 minutes. I feel like we could keep. You said 2-3 hours before. I think you were prepped for it. But it's been an amazing hour. It's been an amazing hour. I think Charlotte FC as a whole kind of represents what Charlotte is in general, which is a city that is growing very quickly, and businesses are planting their flag and saying, hey, this is where I can have success.
That's right.
And you're seeing that in the sports space, you're seeing that in the restaurant space, you're seeing that in so many different spaces. Yeah. Obviously, the brewery space, it's crowded. All you have to do is listen to the show. Mm-hmm. We've been to 1 million breweries, and we still have 1 million more to go.
It's just quality of life.
Malted Oak. Hit Malted Oak for the first time today.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, for lunch. It was great.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's like
right up the street from me.
Does it feel that way? Does it feel to you like Charlotte FC is blending culturally with what's happening in the town?
I've said it before. It's the right team, in the right league, in the right city at the right time. Full stop. This is the evolution of Charlotte, even in the 12 years I've been here. It's just been so great to see. Coming from like the DC area where it's transient, and transients you're in and you're out, right? Mm-hmm. You said it. You come in, you plant a flag. People come here and they don't want to leave, and I love all the people coming in from all over the place. I think all three of us, right?
Totally.
4, even including Woody over there. didn't grow up here, but we want to stay here. And I think the people that did grow up here are very proud of what Charlotte's becoming. And I love the fact that we're on the forefront of making this city better day in and day out, and amplifying it and putting it. I truly believe we'll put it on a world stage. And I saw a stat that said,
Club World Cup.
I saw a stat saying it's a top 10. It's a top 10 city for globally for quality of life. And I think anybody who's here knows that.
As long as you have air conditioning.
I think John and I
AC's
here.
Well, I grew up in Western New York, so I mean that's not a lot of air conditioning needed. Some heaters and some snow blowers and stuff like that. But yeah,
I moved here 2014, so nine and a half years ago, whatever. I think John around the same time. I love it here. I just want to say this as we wrap up. We talk about the future. We talk about growing. We talk about pregame festivities. College game day was here last week. In Romare Bearden Park ahead of North Carolina, South Carolina. Yeah. I'm just saying. If you want to rent out Romare Bearden Park and have a big pregame show, John and I will host. We'll put it on the desk. I'll wear we'll get some Minty on there. It'll be great. So.
As long as we can drink beer as we're hosting that pregame party.
That's very soccer. That's all of us, man.
Yeah, we call that area the French Quarter there, and Romare Bearden Park, the soccer soul of Charlotte, and having the stadium right down the street from that is absolutely huge.
It's great. I mean, it's one of those things where I'm a bit jealous. I don't really get to make it out there too often. I've been out to sport a few times, but obviously with some things I've got to do pregame, it's a little bit more difficult. But it's just I love watching the videos and just seeing pictures and just hearing just comments, and it makes me so happy. I know it does. I can speak for everybody here at the club. I mean, it means the world to us. So keep being fans. It doesn't. Again, we're not going to do everything right. Just know that our intentions are always the best. I've seen things saying like we don't care. I think during like the Leagues Cup because we couldn't host. Like they don't care. They didn't want to host. Like come on.
Right.
Think twice before you're or pick up the phone. Call me.
Yeah. Give somebody an ounce of credit. Like someone spending their time, energy, and livelihood in this project.
Yeah.
If they didn't care about the project, you think they'd be doing that?
Look, we're gonna make decisions that we'll probably maybe not land well sometimes. We're gonna have criticism, but what I can tell you is we're gonna objectively look at it, and if we made the wrong move, we'll admit it and move on and get better. You're not gonna get better by doing everything right all the time. It's those mistakes you make sometimes, and you get better from it. And we talked about some things earlier, and I think we've gotten good at it. And there's a lot of meat on the bone still. We're young, but we're gonna get this right. We want to make everybody proud. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
I'll say this: I know that you can't do it on Charlotte FC match day. But the invite is out there, whether it's postseason or in the off season on a Premier League match day.
Okay.
Let's just go out and have a good time. You just come out,
football.
Rub elbows with the soccer fans in the French Quarter.
That's right.
You don't have to wear anything Charlotte FC, and just kind of have some fun with it. And you can.
But if I don't wear anything
day.
Charlotte FC, I'll have very little social currency.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
And after this episode, I don't think you're going to be allowed to walk around uptown with.
Well, that's what I was afraid of. I didn't want people asking for autographs all freaking Sunday morning while we're getting boozed up at Hooligans Uptown watching some Premier League soccer.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
we're looking forward to the next couple of weeks. We're looking forward to the next month and a half. It's going to be an amazing finish to the season.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time to do this with us today.
I appreciate everything you guys do, and thanks for thinking of me. This is great.
Thanks for being our president. What can I say?
You're welcome.
Cheers.